Hi guys, I'm Amanda, the Botanical Brunette, and welcome to my channel. So the end of July means I'm coming at you with another plant haul. For those of you who have not seen any of my plant hauls, just a quick little rundown. Every month I have a $50 budget that I at least try to stick to, but so far in 6 months I have not been able to stick to that. So hopefully in month 7 of this year, I will be able to stick to it. You'll find out at the end of this video. July, we got some good plants in July. I don't know if you've seen my last video, but my last video basically goes over me going through this plant nursery that I absolutely was in love with down in South Florida. My husband and I decided to go to Miami, so I got a couple plants on that trip. So I'm really excited to show you them because they're both, I mean, one is like a major wish list plant. The other one was, you know, a plant that I had on my wish list for a while, but the other one, ooh, chef's kiss. It is just, I cannot wait. I cannot wait, guys. Like, I'm so excited. But like I always do in these plant hauls, I'm gonna go over what I got as I got it. That way you can see how I escalate and just crash and burn every month. Let's start off with the first plant purchase. But before we get into that, like always, please like this video if you like this kind of content, if you like plant hauls. I've been doing this for, like I said, about 6 to 7 months doing these plant hauls. I absolutely love doing these, and I feel like you guys love them because I get like my most views on like plant hauls and plant tours. And if you're new to this channel, hi, I'm Amanda, the Botanical Brunette, and I would love it if you would consider subscribing. If you love like plant stuff and plant care and just me being silly on the camera, consider subscribing if you haven't already. And now, without further ado, let's get into it. Let's see what I gathered in the month of July. So going into July, I kind of was like, oh, I'm not gonna buy any plants this month because a couple of videos ago, and I'm still kind of dealing with it, I got thrips. They kind of overrun a lot of my plants. I actually didn't know that I had them until it was almost like too late. It like fully infested like 5 of my plants. So I've had to throw away 5 plants, which is very sad, but it's something that I needed to do. Luckily, it wasn't any of my rarer plants or any plants that I have been growing for a while. It was kind of like newer, common plants. So I was, you know, it was sad, but I was okay to throw them out because I can always replace them. So I was like, you know what? I'm just gonna get some much needed things for my plants. So I got this from Lowe's. I get this like orchid bark. This is what I mix in my aeroid type soils. You'll kind of see it in my plant trade video where I sort of show you how I mix the soils. This is the orchid bark that I add in to just give it a lot of chunkiness and kind of make it more airy. This stuff is great. It has bark, really coarse perlite, and it also has charcoal. It will just give it that really airy, chunky, fast draining mix that you need for certain plants. I honestly mix that in almost every one of my plants. Sometimes I'll even take the bark and I'll kind of break it up. That way, if I'm mixing it into a smaller plant, it's not like big chunks of bark. And that's kind of the good thing too, is like that bark is kind of breakable, so you can kind of like rip it apart and kind of like cut it up and put it into a smaller plant. But when you get it, it is like really thick, chunky pieces. So that was the first purchase that I made. And again, for those who haven't seen my plant hauls, I do put down in the bottom corner what that was price-wise, so we can kind of add it up at the end and see how much I went in the hole. But that was about $7.50, $8. I can't remember the exact amount. I got that, and then so while I was at Lowe's, and normally my Lowe's is really, really bad. Normally I don't see a lot of cool plants there. It's just kind of like your standard like fiddly figs or snake plants. But I was kind of looking around and they have this new display where they're like potted plants already. They're like in these really pretty clay terracotta pots. And they had like really cool plants there. I even saw like a rubber tree, like a variegated rubber tree that was almost like lilac-y. Like the variegation on it was like a silvery purple. It was so pretty, and I'm kind of like kicking myself for not getting it, but it really just doesn't fit my aesthetic and it doesn't really fit my plants. But I did make sure I posted it on Instagram, so if anybody saw that, hopefully they found a home pretty soon, because that was a really cool find. But I mean, I wound up finding like staghorn ferns and like really cool plants that you don't commonly see at like big box stores. So I was really excited to see like that. So because I was dealing with thrips and I didn't want to buy any more plants, I was like, okay, well, I'm gonna just get the spark and go. But of course, I checked out the plants. So while I was looking around, I absolutely fell in love with this watermelon peperomia. Look at those leaves, guys. Like, look how big they are. Like, I've never seen a peperomia with leaves this big. So I like fell in love with it, but I was like, no, you're not gonna get it. Don't get this plant. And what did I do? 2 days later, I was like, I can't stop thinking about it. I gotta go back. But it also comes in this pot. It's a hanging planter. I did add a little bit more string to it just because who hangs plants that short? I hang it from the ceiling. It hangs like right above my desk. So it gets like medium to lower light. I probably should give it a little bit more light. As you can see, it's kind of like already starting to kind of lean towards the light. It's so cute. Like, I absolutely felt, I didn't think I needed a watermelon peperomia, but here I am like having one in my collection, and I'm so excited because it's just so cute. It's so cute. And then it has like little pink stems. So far, I mean, I've only had this plant for about 2 weeks. Like I do, I almost immediately repot it because I don't trust like the soils, and I don't trust like big box stores. Like, nothing against them, but I've always gotten pests. Because I'm dealing with an army of thrips, I was like, you know what, I don't want to bring anything else into the mix. So let me repot it, let me treat it, let me do everything. It wound up being super root bound, which it always is. Almost every case I've ever gotten a plant from Lowe's or Home Depot, they're root bound. But it's okay because that means that they're ready for a bigger pot. But peperomias do like to be kind of in a tighter pot. They don't love a lot of room. They like to be a little bit more compact. So I did kind of replace a lot of the soil. I kind of shook it out. Didn't want to mess with the root ball too much, but I just kind of like shook it out a little bit, took this top soil off and replaced a little bit of soil on the bottom, and it's super happy. I did notice for a while it started to droop really, really bad, and I don't really have a lot of experience with peperomias. So I was like, oh great, like I root rotted it, like, cause I immediately watered it after I planted it, and come to find out it was just thirsty. So this plant is a dream because it will let me know what it needs. But yeah, like they're so cute. I don't really have a lot of care information about this yet because I've only had it for a few weeks. That's the only thing about these plant hauls, is I don't really have a lot of like care tips in my experience other than what I researched, because I research every plant that I get, whether I get it beforehand or afterward. I always research what this plant needs. That way I can have the best care for it. But yeah, I don't really know like right now like what it needs. I'm just kind of winging it as of right now. But so that's my peperomia. The planter came with the peperomia. So the plant and the planter was around 22 to 25. Again, I will put it at the bottom, the exact price. So that's not a bad deal, guys. Like let's say $23 for a hanging planter and a big plant like that. That's in a 6-inch pot. So you get a pretty big plant in that, so you can't beat it. So that's why I had to go back and get it. About a week after that was my Miami trip. So I'm gonna show you my kind of wishlist plant-ish. It's a plant that I have always wanted just because it's a very common plant, and I've seen it at Lowe's, I've seen it at Home Depot, but I just never like gravitated toward it. But now I saw this at the nursery and I had to get it, because you'll see why. It's just beautiful. So I got this giant, I don't even know if you guys can see this whole thing. I will do like B-roll so you guys see the whole thing. Now I got it for like $20. So I was like, I'm just gonna get it because I know that these are super common, but I've never seen one like this big, like at the store. Like it covers my face. Yeah, I'm gonna put it down. I was kind of browsing around and I saw it, and you know, my husband and I both kind of like the way it looked, and it was, again, pretty cheap for the size. So we were like, yeah, we'll just throw it in, we'll get it. So that plant sits in my dining room area. I technically kind of have it quarantined. I did thoroughly like give it a good bath when I got it because it was on the outside part of the greenhouse. So it was basically like out in the open. So like literally anything could have gotten it to it. I made sure I wiped the leaves down with neem oil. I gave it a good like shower. So it was super happy. I've only watered it once. I've only been back for now like 2 weeks. I don't really have a lot of care tips for the Alocasia. I'll probably wind up moving it back into my plant room, which gets a little bit more sun eventually. But for now, it's sitting out there. It does kind of lean towards the light. So I've just been kind of rotating it every few days just to make sure that it grows evenly around. But yeah, that is my big Alocasia. Actually really happy that I got it. Like it's just so beautiful. It's got like the really rich green is really what attracted me to it. And the fact that it's almost like it's a very dark red on the back of the leaves. It's just so beautiful that I was just like, I have to get this plant. So if you saw my last video, you saw me go into that beautiful rare greenhouse with all the plants that you will ever dream of and all the plants that you would see on Instagram. I mean, half of those plants I have never ever in my life seen in real life. While I was shopping around, I was dead set on one single plant, and also another plant that I've never seen in real life, only pictures. And it was a plant that has been on the top of my wish list for a very long time. It's a plant that I have mentioned on this channel several times, and I finally got it. So say hello to my Philodendron gloriosum. Guys, I finally got it. I'm so excited. Like I literally saw it and I was like, I just kept going over to it. Like I'm surrounded by these plants that cost hundreds of dollars and super rare, hard to find plants that I may never see again. I have no idea, like we don't have a lot of super rare plant shops in Orlando. We have a few, but nothing to that scale. I just kept coming back to, I went back to this plant like 3 or 4 times. And my husband was kind of like eyeing me and I kept going back over there. And he did wind up buying it for me. I'm gonna take both the Alocasia and the gloriosum out of my plant budget because they were technically gifts. Because I wouldn't have bought this if my husband didn't like basically force me to. And he knows me better. Like he would know that like if I were to have left without this plant, I would probably be on my way back to Miami right now to go get it. So I'm thankful for him where he was like, just get the damn plant, Amanda. So I got it finally. Like, oh, I'm so excited, guys. This plant is just a literal dream of mine. Like I am just so happy. Like, and it immediately, like as soon as I got it, it like unfurled this leaf right here. Like it's just so gorgeous. Like I don't even care that it's got like little like imperfections. That's what makes it perfect. That's what gives it character. But I'm just so infatuated with this plant. Like I can't even tell you. My husband also likes to kid with me because even though he bought it for me, he's like, oh, so you're gonna go on YouTube and let them know that your plant budget has been spent for the rest of the year? So, but again, I'm not going to put that toward it. I mean, you comment below and let me know if I should or not. I don't think I should. I think it's a gift. Just like I did for my March plant haul, I didn't add my birthday present gifts, plant things. Anything that I physically purchase is what I consider my plant budget. But you let me know in the comments if you think that it is, it's part of my plant budget or not, because if it is, well, this is gonna be my last video. Like guys, I don't even know, like now I don't even know like what my next wish list plant is, because this has been a plant that I have just been like, if I need to get this plant, like I have to get it at some point, like, but I was always like, oh, I gotta wait for the price to go down. The plants that I actually purchased, here's the grand total, this is what I spent, and I'm happy to announce that I did not go over my budget. I did not go physically, me running my credit card, I did not go over my budget this month. So, yay, finally. 1 month out of the year I have not gone over my budget. I'm gonna try next month. I have bought so many plants and so many things, and I have thrips, and I also have spider mites and mealybugs that I have found recently. So, 'tis the season, right? I'm gonna try not to buy too many plants in the month of August. I'm gonna try to not add more plants into the bunch. I have already thrown away 5 plants, and I don't want to buy more plants and add them in, and then, because I honestly don't really have much room to quarantine plants anymore either. I'm going to try my best, and you guys can hold me accountable. I'm gonna try my best to not spend too much money and also buy too many plants. So hopefully by August, I will be on here in a month and let you guys know that I stuck to my goal. Or maybe not, who knows? You guys probably already know by now that I never do. Well, that's it for today. I hope you guys all have a great day and stay botanical.